Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this episode, we're going back. We're taking it back to November 12th, 2002. On that day, Jay Z would release his seventh studio album entitled The Blueprint, The Gift and the Curse. And we're here to celebrate it and talk about it. We're going to break down the tracks, talk about my thoughts on this album. And I got to say, I say this all the time, but it is bugged out that it's been 20 years because it really doesn't feel like that. Um, 20 years of the blueprint to the gift and the curse. This album came out, as I mentioned, in 2002. Um, Hip hop was in a different space. Jay Z was in a different space. Right around this time, uh, he was, growing and developing as an artist and as a person, I guess. Uh, but rap was changing around us too. Rap, had come a long way and been highly commercialized, and it was about moving units at this point. We had come through the shiny suit era, and Jay Z at the time was one of the hottest recording artists, period. In any genre of music, he was one of the best in rap. But he was around, some controversy, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, he was going through some things personally as well, because it was around this time that he was recording this album, he started dating a young lady whom he would later marry in the name of Beyonce Carter. Well, she's Carter now, but Beyonce Knowles back then. Um, but yeah, this album, uh, Jay Z took a lot of risk. He did a lot of different things on this album, and I'll touch on it just a few. But um, this was gonna be, you know, or at least we thought, a game changer for Jay Z. For one, Jay Z decided to make this album a double album. Now, if you're not familiar with the double albums, this is when, you would literally take two CDs and you put them together, and you'd have an album that would cover and have as many tracks um, on both discs. And I think this album's runtime is like an hour and 48 minutes or so. It's almost a 2 hour album between both discs, disc one and disc two. Um, but yeah, this album came out. I remember when it came out, there was a lot of hype surrounding it, a lot of hype, and rightfully so. I mean, Jay Z had just, he was in a state of transition, I think, career wise. But he was, Jay Z famously said, he gave us, these. What he would say? He would say that he held us down for 6 straight summers. Um, and so he was pumping out music consistently year after year after year. And you got to think at some point it's going to slow down or he's going to trip up. And most people didn't think that that would happen until this album dropped. uh, this album was released, as I mentioned, November 12th, 2002. Uh, some of the singles that were released: '03 Bonnie and Clyde, which was released October 10th, 2002. Hovey Baby, which was released November 12th, 2002. And Excuse Me Miss, which was released February 4th, 2003. Now, Jay Z, when you think about it, obviously you're talking about a double album. It's going to be a longer album. Um, so you're going to have help, if you will. He enlisted a who's who of producers for this album. everybody from Kanye to Dr. Dre to Heavy D, Just Blaze, the Neptunes, No ID, Timbaland, just to name a few. Um, this album, from what I remember, got pretty good reviews. Uh, it didn't blow people away, but I think people found this album to be what it was. Now, Jay Z fans loved this album when it came out. Admittedly, I am a huge Jay Z fan as well. Um, I think looking back on it now, I think I really, really liked this album back then a lot more than I like it now. Um, and I think, if we're being honest, you can kind of see why people gravitated toward the album then as opposed to how they may feel about it now. But like I said, Jay-Z was going through a lot. Um, Rockefeller was still running, running things. They were rolling. The East was back, if you will. And this album found Jay-Z at a different time in his life. And again, he's getting into this relationship, but a relationship that honestly many of us at the time didn't know much about. The relationship that he had with Beyonce at the time, I think, was pretty secretive. I don't really know. Um, I don't really know if a lot of people knew about it, at least not publicly. But nonetheless, Jay-Z comes out and he's got this album. It's a double album. Like I said, fans are excited. And, it was just something that people were ready for. And we thought that we were going to get Jay-Z's best effort, but we didn't. So let's jump right into it, man. My thoughts on this album. I think looking back on this album, I thought it was solid. Like, I think the best way I can describe it, I would say that it was a case of the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are many highs on this album. The hits, he's got some hits on here, he's got some bangers on here. And those are good. And I think the highs are really, really high. The bad part is that the lows are really, really low. And I think the ugly, he lost the battle. He lost the battle. And there's a song on this album where he makes a futile attempt to swing at Nas when he clearly lost the battle. But I'll get into that once I break the songs down. But yeah, I mean, like, if you listen to this podcast, you know that I'm not a fan of double albums. Um, I don't think that. I think that the thing about double albums is, I think almost every artist that has done a double album, when you break it down, it's been too much. Like, you end up putting filler songs, you end up putting songs on the album that normally would not have made the album. And I think the Blueprint 2, The Gift and the Curse, is filled with a bunch of filler songs. I think if you strip this down and you make this a tongue tied, if you make this a 12-track album, you've got one of Jay-Z's better albums in his discography. But since you didn't do that, this one fell short. And I think even going back and listening to it, I don't know that I know why he did it, I guess, but because that seemed to be the wave, and Jay-Z's good at riding waves, or at least he makes an attempt to ride a lot of different waves. But nah, this wasn't it, Playboy. This was not it at all. Um, so we get to the tracks. Um, the first track, A Dream. Listen, I love this joint. He's having a conversation with Biggie in the song. And then we get to hear Biggie's verse of what was it, Juicy. I love this joint, man. And Faith Evans on the hook, Biggie's ex-wife on the hook. Come on, man. This song is incredible. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This is a great way to start an album. And I'm loving it. Then we get to track 2, Hovey Baby, produced by Just Blaze. A Dream was produced by Kanye West. Hovey Baby, I like that. I mean, he killed me when he said, right now I want you to get a drummer some. No, ma, really. Get a drummer some. um, Hovey Baby was good. Very high, very energetic joint. Um, Track 3, The Watcher 2, featuring Dr. Dre, The Truth Hurts, and the God MC Rakim Allah. I was so happy to hear Rakim rhyming with Jay-Z over a Dre track. Come on, man. Love this joint. So in my mind, at this point, he's like 3 for 3. Track 4, '03 Bonnie and Clyde featuring Beyonce. It's the radio joint. It's the lead single. Kanye produced it. I mean, you can't go wrong with this. You cannot go wrong with this. And by the time that this song comes out, people are getting wind of this bubbling relationship publicly. And obviously he sampled the Me and My Girlfriend sample from Tupac. So that was a added another layer in and of itself. And people loved it. Sampled Prince. This was a joint. So I mean, like, this thing is coming out smoking. Track 5, Excuse Me Miss, produced by the Neptunes. Another radio single, radio friendly joint. Pharrell on the hook. Come on, man. He had a video. The chick in the video is beautiful. I don't know who she is. She is stunning, even to this day. Before I jump out the window, what's your name? Excuse me, miss. Love that joint, man. I mean, like, he's coming out. He is coming out of the gate, guns ablazing. Then it falls off. The next track, track 6, What They Gonna Do, featuring Sean Paul, produced by Timbaland. Wasn't really a fan of this joint. I mean, it was okay, but I'm like, you come out the gate, the first 5, you banging, and then it's like the air left the room. I mean, again, it's okay. It's just, and I mean, like, Timbaland does this little funky thing at the end of the song, like the last, I don't know, minute and a half, where he's just showing you at the end of the song like his skills as a producer. I'm like, bro, in the song, like, I don't need to hear your beat machine. And that's something that Timbaland started doing at that particular time, and then not long after Kanye started doing it. And I thought it was terrible. But that's beside the point. Track 7, All Around the World, featuring Latoya Williams. Really wasn't feeling this either. Produced by No ID. I get what they were trying to do, but it was kind of whack. Track 8, Poppin' Tags, featuring Big Boy from Outkast, Killer Mike, and Twista, produced by Kanye West. Love the production on this. Don't like this collaboration at all. I think Big Boy sounds fine. Killer Mike is okay. Twista's okay. It's just, you put Jay-Z on it, it's not feeling it. Wasn't feeling it at all. Still, even coming back to it years later, not feeling it. I don't know necessarily if I put it like this: if this is a single disc, this song doesn't make the album. Track 9, Fuck All Night, produced by the Neptunes. Filler extraordinaire. This is not a good song at all. Track 10, The Bounce, featuring Kanye West, produced by Kanye and Timbaland. Okay, we back. I'm feeling this. I am feeling it at this point. I was disappointed, with those previous songs. Um, but he got it back on track at this point. Track 11, which is the final track on disc 1, I Did It My Way. Produced by Jay-Z and Big Chuck. Um this is god awful. I get what he's trying to do. On this song, he's trying to, Frank Sinatra it, like saying, "Hey, I came from nothing. I did this, did that. I'm here, and I'm the man, and so forth and so on." But nah, bro, this ain't it. Another filler song. So then we get the disc 2, because the disc 1 is called The Gift, and aptly disc 2 is called The Curse. So we get to The Curse. Um, Track 1, Diamond Is Forever, produced by Ron Fimster and Big Chuck. It's okay. It's okay. Not a bad lead off. Not bad at all. Uh, Track 2, Guns N' Roses, featuring Lenny Kravitz, produced by Heavy Bun Diddly 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 D. Man, listen. Some people don't like this joint. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Um, he got a little rock in there. He's got Lenny Kravitz, again, produced by Heavy D. This is something where Jay-Z steps outside of the box, and I'm cool with that. I'm totally cool with that. Um, Track 3, You Don't Know remix, featuring M.O.P. The Mash Out Posse, produced by Justin Blaze. Man, listen, this is the smoker. Oh my gosh, just man, when this just even going back listening to this, because I had to, anytime I'm doing these album reviews, I go back and listen to the songs and the entire album in its entirety as I prepare myself for doing a podcast on it. Um, this is still my favorite joint on the album. MOP, come on, man, come on, what are we talking about? This is still cold to this day. Track 4, Meet the Parents. I love this joint. This is a very slept on track, produced by Just Blaze. Um, Jay-Z this is one of his best story rhymes, I think. Jay-Z doesn't have a lot of signature story rhymes, but this is a very good one. Um, and I think, for those who, oh man, who heard Jay-Z on, the 444 album, and they were like, "Oh man, Jay-Z's on his grown man. He's on his rapping shit. He's rapping." He did that on this song. He actually rapped. He put a story together that was a really, really dope story. So it wasn't, so 444 wasn't the first time that he got deep. But if you're a Jay-Z fan, you know that. Um, Track 5, nice posse cut. Somehow, some way, featuring Beanie Siegel and Scarface, produced by Just Blaze as well. I think Scarface's verse got him. Scarface, I love Scarface on this joint. I love Beans and Jay's on this, but I love Scarface's verse on this. But another banger, another banger. Um, Track 6, Some People Hate, produced by Kanye West. This was the production where Kanye was on the sped up drums, and this was Kanye Titter. I like the production on this. The rapping, it's okay. It's okay. It's not a skip. It's all right. um, Track 7, Blueprint 2, produced by Charlemagne. Nah, not Charlemagne the God, but Henry Charlemagne. Um, this is the ugly. Again, at this point, in my opinion, the battle between Jay-Z and Nas was over. Nas won the battle. This is Jay-Z's futile attempt to swing at Nas, and it's almost like he's punching at the air like Cuba Gooding Jr. In the movie Boys in the Hood. I mean, like Nas had already won, and it's almost like Jay has this fading plea for people to understand and recognize that he won the battle, but he didn't win the battle. And at this point, there are people still at this point that think Jay-Z won the battle against Nas. He did not. Get over yourselves, Hovengers. He didn't win. And I love Jay-Z and I love Nas, but Jay didn't win. Come on, man. What are we talking about? We're not talking about this. But no, the Blueprint 2, that song, its song wasn't good. It wasn't a good song at all. Um Track 8, Nigga Please, featuring Young Chris, produced by the Neptunes. I love the beat. I don't love this song. I love the beat. I don't love this song. This song is bad, but the beat is tight. Um Track 9, Too Many Hoes, produced by Timbaland. A throwaway. This song is not good. Again, solid production, but this song, this ain't it, bruh. It ain't it. Um, Next one, track 10, As One, featuring Memphis Bleak, Beanie Siegel, Freeway, The Young Guns, Petey Crack, Emilio Sparks, and Rel, produced by Just Blaze. Now I've talked to some people that thought that this song was a little bit corny because they used the um Earth, Wind, and Fire sample. I absolutely love this track. I love it. I think it's one of the best tracks on the album, on either disc. I love it though. I love it. Um, Track 11, A Ballad for the Fallen Soldier, featuring Mark Dorsey and Pharrell Williams, produced by the Neptunes. Filler track. It's, I mean, he has a story, but at this point, it kind of, to me, the songs are starting to sound the same at this point. So it's like I'm literally looking at my CD changer, back in the day, like, hey man, wrap this shit up. Like this is just taking too long. Um, then we get to track 12, Show You How to Do This, which is a bonus track produced by Just Blaze. This is on the album. It's like I said, it's a bonus track, but it's a song that I heard before the album came out. I Show You How to Do This was on a couple of, it might have been on Clue Tape, Ron G, I can't remember, but I heard it on, a couple of mixtapes. So it's on the album. I don't necessarily count it as being on the album. Bitches and Sisters was a bonus track produced by Just Blaze. Not good. Whack. It wasn't that good. And then last track, track 14, What They Gonna Do, Part 2, produced by Daryl Branch. It was okay. I mean, but at this point, I already checked out of the album, if I'm being honest. Yeah, this was this could have been this album could have been a lot more than what it was. I'll just put it like that. Like it just wasn't up to par. And I think the reason why it wasn't up to par was because he did a double album. If he does a single disc album and just uses just some of the ones that I named, bruh, again, you're talking about maybe, I don't know, maybe a top 5 album for Jay-Z. But he didn't. He went the money route to do the double album, because you get credit for two what is it? At that time, if you bought a double album, he would get two credit for 2 sales as opposed to 1. And so I get why he did it. I mean, the numbers, I think this album was triple platinum, I think. So yeah, I get it. It was successful commercially wise, I guess, but this wasn't a good album. It really wasn't. I mean, relatively speaking, it was just all right. It was okay. Like it's not something that if you're at a party, you're like, yo, put that Blueprint 2 the Gift and the Curse on it. No, nobody's doing that. They'll play Excuse Me, Miss. They'll definitely play that, but nobody's playing this album. And it's unfortunate because I think, Jay-Z had A-list producers. You heard the producers that I named. All of the producers had multiple shots on this album. And it's almost like, damn, you had the Neptunes for 2 or 3 tracks. This is all you got. You got Just Blaze, who was like coming into his own. That's all you got. Like, it could have been much more. Um, Again, I don't think it's a bad album. It's not a good album either. So you guys know what's next. I always rank these albums or rate them when I break them down. So if we're going by the sources, mics, how many mics would you give this album? I would probably give this album 3 mics. And that's 3 mics on the strength of that they, the highs are really, really high. But the lows, ooh wee. The lows are low. The lows are bad. And that's why I said it's like the good, bad, and the ugly. You know, that Blueprint 2 diss track was terrible and unnecessary. And Jay-Z, it was a bump in the road for him. I think, he thinks very highly of this album. Some of his fans think very highly of this album. I don't. I think it's okay. It's got its moments, it's got its songs. But if we're being honest, which some of you Hovengers don't tend to be, I think this was probably a glimpse as to what Jay-Z was going to become. And so if you say, okay, well, hey, lyrically, he started falling off, we could probably look back to this album and start pointing at some songs to where there was starting to be some chinks in the armor, if you will. But nonetheless, again, it's a solid album. I implore you, like I do on each of these album reviews, go back and take a listen. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. I'm not, but but go back and take a listen anyway. I'm sure you'll be able to get something out of this album. And there it is. November 12th, 2002, 20 years ago. The Blueprint 2, The Gift and the Curse from Jay-Z. That's going to do it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy, 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000.